Good day. In this video, we're going to look at restrictions in algebra. It is stuff that you must be looking out for while you're doing your calculations. I will make 5 separate videos, all called restrictions 1, restrictions 2, and so on, that you can understand each one separately. But in this video, we're going to tackle everything in one. The first thing you must remember is that if you see something written like this, it means x is bigger and equal to 0. You always read from the variable side. The numbers we are looking for is bigger and equal to 0. It's also another way of writing positive. We can also call it bigger and equal to 0. If you see this, it is not equal to 0. It's only the numbers we're talking about is bigger than 0. Now the first restriction says that if you ever get a variable to the power of an even number, it'll be positive. The next one says that if you get any number as a base with a variable in the air, that answer will always be bigger than 0. Not equal to 0, just bigger than 0, and it will never be negative. This one says that if you ever get a surd, in other words, a square root or a fourth root or a sixth root, an even root, it will be bigger and equal to 0. If it's an odd root, there's no restriction. The next thing you must watch out for is if you get in any calculation a fraction like this with a variable at the bottom. You must try and see this step in your head then. You write down the bottom and you say it's not equal to 0. You take the 2 over like a normal equation. You say x is not allowed to be minus 2 because your denominator of a fraction may not be equal to 0. The old story from the primary school, you're not allowed to divide by a 0, but this is how we write it. We say x plus 2 is not allowed to be 0. Bring the 2 over. That says x is not allowed to be minus 2. So if you put a minus 2 in there, you'll get a 0. That means it won't work. And then there's a lot of questions they can ask about this. You can stop the video and look at this, but I'm quickly going to run through it. The one thing they can ask you is what is the domain of this expression? The answer will be x is an element of real numbers, but x can't be minus 2. If they ask you this guy is going to be defined for what values of x, you say x is an element of real numbers, x is not allowed to be minus 2. If it says this guy is going to be undefined, it will be undefined if x is minus 2. I will do that separately in a video of its own. The next mathematical thing that you must be looking out for is for a square root. If you get a square root with a variable under it, you rewrite the piece from underneath the square root and you say that part must be bigger and equal to 0. The rule says under the square root mustn't be negative. I try and get that out of my brain. I say the thing under the square root must be positive, and that's how you write it. Normally, like equations, you take the 5 to the other side, so then it says x is bigger and equal to minus 5. The reason is the inside or under a square root can never be a negative. I don't like this because it confuses us, although it's nice. You say, you rewrite that thing there, you say it's bigger and equal to 0, and you write this answer down. Try and see it in your mind. Then please stop the video and read what I wrote here. The first thing I said is the domain of this expression will be x is an element of real numbers, x is bigger and equal to minus 5. So I sometimes ask you, when will this thing over here be real? It'll be real if x is an element of real numbers and x is bigger than equal to minus 5. Then they can ask you, when will this thing be non-real? It'll be non-real if x is smaller than minus 5. I'll make a small video explaining this more fully. This one now is a combination of the previous 2 rules I just made. There's a fraction in here and there's a square root in here. So your restriction here is that the thing under the square root must be bigger and equal to 0. But because he is under the 3, he can't be equal to 0. If this was only a square root, I would have written this, which is not right. So you rather write x plus 5 is bigger than 0 without the equal, and therefore x is bigger than minus 5. Please stop the video again and read what I wrote. The domain of this expression will then be x is bigger than minus 5. If this thing will be defined if x is bigger than minus 5. And this thing will be undefined and non-real if x is smaller than equal to minus 5. Please look at the other videos on restrictions, restrictions 1, restrictions 2, restrictions 3 of algebra. I'll explain each one of them separately. Please also indicate whether you liked or disliked this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also send any request of a problem that you have in school mathematics to this number with a WhatsApp or with a small message. We will look at it, make a video for you and post it for free on the channel. Then other people can benefit from your question.